morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on this Wednesday morning. My name is Monisha Bush, but you can call me Mo, and I am your host for today's HBCU live webinar. This webinar is the first of a three-part weekly series that will give you all of the information you need to learn about one of our most recent academies here at SANS, our HBCU Academy. Quick intro for me. I am the U.S. Missions Programs and Partnerships Coordinator for SANS, and I've been with SANS a bit over 4.5 years. I help drive forward all missions in the Western Hemisphere, coordinating with partners, both internal and external, building new partnerships and relationships. It is my gracious responsibility to help our partners and program entities connect the dots between SANS Academy operations, marketing, products, and career placement. I also work as the Media Partnerships Coordinator with our SANS HBCU committee, where it is our mission to create a bridge to diversify cybersecurity with innovative Black talent from historically Black colleges and universities. So I think it's important to begin this series with a quick ride down HBCU Historical 101 Road. Now, I must warn you, if you have watched any of my previous webinars, you will notice that I like to keep things light, fun, energetic, but also very informational at the same time. So let's start off with a few did you knows. That should break the ice. Now, this activity may call for a little crowd participation, which let me note is completely voluntary. Now, there is a little bit of a delay between our live feed, so as soon as I see some ones in the comments, then I will continue to move forward. But again, this is completely voluntary, so do not feel pressured to answer any of these questions. So, if I read off a fact that you already know, you may drop some ones in the chat box. Are you guys ready? And don't worry if you don't know, I am here to keep you engaged, but I promise you, you will leave this webinar informed. Great. Let's get started. Did you know that there are over 100 HBCUs? Let me know if you know. Drop some ones in the chat box if you knew that. Did you know that Black churches helped create the first HBCUs? Did you know that Cheyney University of Pennsylvania is the oldest HBCU? I see some ones. I see you, Abdul. Thank you guys for your participation. I appreciate that. Did you know that HBCUs are responsible for 25% of African American STEM graduates? Okay, I see you. Did you know HBCUs represent less than 3% of colleges and universities? Did you know that? Let me see those ones. Let me see those ones. I like to see that some of you guys didn't know, but guess what? You know now, right? Did you also know that HBCUs produce over 40% of all STEM degrees? Did you know that 60% of all engineering degrees are earned by African American students who attend HBCUs? I love it. I love those ones, guys. All right. I have a bonus did you know for you guys, and I have a small prize. And we're not talking about an all expense paid trip to Cabo, more like an all expense paid to Starbucks, or maybe even some sand swag. For the first person that can name the HBCU that produces the most engineering STEM degrees. I'm not looking for ones this time, people. I want the name of the HBCU that produces the most engineering and STEM degrees. Again, there's a small delay. So I am going to keep it going. And then once I see that person, if there is someone here on our live that actually knows that answer, I am more than happy to announce you as the winner and you will be winning a prize. In the meantime, I am going to go ahead and move forward with the last couple of my did you knows. And if you guys do not get the answer correctly, I will go ahead and give you the answer. So thank you, Conrad. Morehouse is not the answer, but that is a great guess. I'm going to give you guys the question one more time. This is a bonus Did You Know for a small prize for the first person that can name the HBCU that produces the most engineering STEM degrees. HBCU. Morgan State, Lorenza? Nope, that is not the correct answer. I'm going to give the last two Did You Knows and then I'll circle back around with the answer. Did you know 70% of African American dentists and physicians earn degrees at HBCUs? Drop those ones if you knew that. Looks like we have a winner here. Barka Elijah. You are most definitely correct. North Carolina A&T is the top producer of Black STEM graduates, and it tops all colleges in graduating Black engineers. Congratulations, Barka. I will take note of your information, and I will be sure to send you a prize. So I have one more Did you know? Did you know that 50% of African American teachers and 40% of African American health professionals attended HBCUs? Drop those ones. And I thank you guys for your participation. Chinwei, you would have been a good close second. You are correct with North Carolina A&T. And the same for you, Conrad. North Carolina A&T was the question or the answer. So thank you all for allowing me to be Professor Mo for a hot second. But I bet you're wondering, where is the data that speaks to HBCUs in the cyberspace or even Blacks in cyber? Like, where's that data, right? Well, here are the facts. According to data from the United States Department of Labor, Blacks or African American people make up only 8% of the information security analysts in the United States. Now, I was going to ramble on a few more depressive statistics referencing the above as far as there being so many different disparities, but I know that you did not join today for that because you woke up today and you decided to join this webinar to be a part of the solution. Therefore, I digress. There is no secret that IT has a diversity issue, and cybersecurity, really, there's no exception in that area as well. Factor in security skills shortage exacerbated by the growing importance of InfoSec responsibilities in the transition to remote work due to COVID-19 and the lack of an inclusive workforce is clearly, to say the least, raising eyebrows. Well, fortunately, there is a growing number of programs, including SANS programs, which cater towards supporting Blacks and guiding us to learn more about cybersecurity. More importantly, putting forth concerted efforts to promote the InfoSec career path to a wider pool of people, and the younger generation especially. It is a known fact that exposing teenagers to cybersecurity is a gateway to college programs and ultimately information security analysts and other careers in the field. And simply put, investing in HBCUs and HBCU alumni is an investment in dismantling systemic barriers. Companies with diverse and inclusive environments are more competitive than their peers. This means investing in HBCUs is also an investment in organizational success. For today's conversation, we will be discussing successful preparation for application and academics of our SANS HBCU Academy. But before I dive into introductions of my co-host and my guest speakers, I kind of want to take a little temperature of the room. Again, you may drop those ones in the comment field if this applies to you. I will begin. How many of you are completely new to this industry? Let me see those ones if you're completely new to the cyberspace in this industry. I want to remind you that this discussion is a safe place, no judgments, as we are simply here to inform and help you. Awesome. Thank you. I see those ones. I see those ones. Now, how many of you have some beginner or very basic knowledge of cybersecurity? Drop those ones if you have some beginner or very basic knowledge of cybersecurity. I see you, Saeed. I see you, Agnes. Thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate it. Now, our goal for this HBCU Live series is simple. Whatever your current role or whatever industry you are in, or if you are already in the cyberspace looking for that next opportunity to move the needle, or you are simply just thinking about diving into the cybersecurity space for the first time ever and you're just transitioning from an entirely different profession, that you will come away with something, either that be a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy, with the expectation that you can apply these to your life, or better yet, to your career path directly. And even better, maybe there's a little light that goes off and you decide that you want to move forward and apply to our HBCU Academy. Thank you all for your participation, allowing for me to give you some did you know facts. And I will begin with introducing my co host. So, we have an amazing co host for today's conversation. I have the pleasure of working directly with Beth Corcoran, and Beth is the SANS Cyber Talent Workforce Programs Manager with SANS. Thank you so much for joining me today, Beth. Would you like to give your own brief introduction of your role and your history with SANS?
Sure. Thank you, Monisha. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. As Monisha said, I am the Workforce Programs Manager for our SANS Cyber Immersion Academies. Along with my team, I oversee the application and enrollment process for our scholarship programs, as well as provide student support for those who are enrolled in our academies. And I've been in this role for about 4.5 years, but I've been with SANS for over 15 years.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. 15 years, that's a long time. And I can speak for myself to say that I learn things from you every day. So I am so excited to be co-hosting with you today. Let's jump right in.
Yeah.
So today's topic is discussing successful preparation for application in academies of the HBCU Academy. I have a few questions that should cover the basics. And then, if any of our participants have additional questions, we will ask you all to write your questions in the chat box. We will try to follow up and do a QA at the end if time permits. Awesome. So, Beth, what is a brief description of the HBCU Academy?
Sure. So, this program was founded to provide talented scholars from historically Black colleges and universities with free access to industry leading cybersecurity training and certifications. Now, there's no cost for the training courses, course books, or exam attempts for our scholarship programs and for the students who are accepted to them. So, through this program, we hope to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion in the cybersecurity workforce.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. Can you give an overview of any prerequisites or any eligibility requirements for this academy?
Yes, so this program is open to those who are currently enrolled as a junior, senior, or graduate student at a historically Black college or university, or to HBCU alumni who are interested in transitioning into the cybersecurity field. Applicants cannot have any prior or current work experience in the cybersecurity field for more than 1 year. So we are looking for those who are new to the field or with little to no background or experience, but have a strong drive and passion to gain a career in this field. Applicants must be a US citizen or a permanent legal resident with work authorization and who currently reside in the US.
Awesome. Yes, we love passion. Passion will take you a long way. Are there any assessments required to be considered, and what type of assessments are given to applicants?
Yes, so all applicants are required to complete an online assessment after they submit their application. And the assessment is 2 hours long and it covers about 50 questions, but please do not let that intimidate you or deter you from applying.
Exactly. Thank you, Beth.
Mhm.
Now, once an applicant has applied, can you describe the next steps as far as the evaluation process?
Sure. So, based on the results of the assessment and the initial application, some applicants may be asked to submit additional documentation, such as your resume or transcripts. We may ask for a video submission, an essay, and possibly even a letter of recommendation. And these can all be submitted through your application portal.
Amazing. Good information. Now, what is the notification process and how will applicants be notified?
So applications are reviewed by our admissions team, and all applicants will be notified of either acceptance or denial via email. Enrollment to an academy is not guaranteed.
Good to know. Good to know. And how many courses are actually offered in this program?
So for those who are accepted, students will have access to up to 3 SANS courses and their corresponding GX certification attempts. The first 2 courses are required, and those include SEC 275 Foundations and the GFACT certification attempt, and SEC 401 Security Essentials with the GSEC certification attempt. And once students have completed and passed those 2 courses and certifications, they have an option for a third elective. And currently, there's 5 approved electives for students to choose from, and that will be dependent upon their interests and career goals.
Great. How long will each participant have to complete the entire program? And what are the expected hours of study per course?
So students have 12 weeks to complete each course and certification attempt, so the full program can take about 10 months to complete. Students should expect to spend about 150 hours of study within each 12-week block for each course.
Good to know. So we got some dedication that is needed. Thank you, Beth. Now, what type of platform is the program offered on?
So all the training is provided through the SANS On Demand training platform. It is self-paced, so you can schedule your study time around any other commitments that you might have.
Great, great. Self-paced is always good, guys. Now, does SANS offer any additional support platforms or other entities?
Definitely. So to support our students, we provide a Slack channel where we encourage a lot of communication and collaboration among the students. Students also have access to a knowledgeable mentor, our SANS On Demand subject matter experts, and our phenomenal career services team.
And yes, they are phenomenal, if I say so myself. Thank you. What is the average success rate for students who complete the program?
So we're very proud of our students and proud to say that we have a 90% success rate of students who complete our programs and gain employment in the cybersecurity field within a year, and some students are even sooner than that.
Awesome. Those are some great numbers. Thank you, Beth. And finally, when is the next application for this academy open?
Yes, we can expect applications to open in January of 2023, and training will begin sometime in the spring for those who are accepted.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. You have provided some very important and detailed information needed for potential candidates, pretty much to know what to expect if they choose to apply for the HBCU Academy. Now, I would like to move forward with introducing some very special guests today who are both SANS HBCU Academy alumni. And they can kind of dive into a different student perspective to further engage with our audience on how best to become successful at preparing for applications into the academy. So first, I would like to start with Mr. Robert Leware, who attends University of the Virgin Islands, UVI, and he was a part of our very first HBCU Academy cohort. Thank you for being here, Robert.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here with everyone.
Robert, can I first congratulate you on successfully completing your GFAC and GSEC certifications? That is no easy feat, and I am sure you are very proud of yourself.
Yes, it was a very tremendous journey, and it was worth all the while of going through it. Definitely learned, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you, Robert. Since this week's topic is about how to successfully prepare for the application, what advice would you give to those listening on how you prepared and maybe advice that you would pass along that you learned along the way?
So, for advice for preparing for the application, pretty much just um, with your background, you don't have to feel too intimidated if you're not strong in the cybersecurity field. That you don't have to worry like if you don't know as much as you think you do, but just be confident in applying with what skills you have, and from there just believe in yourself.
I love that. Believe in yourself. Now, what made you decide to go into cyber and how did you hear about the HBCU Academy?
Yep. So I studied computer science. I always had an interest in cyber. So with one of my professors, they introduced me to the course and the SANS Academy, and they told me they're a very wonderful program to build my skills on, regardless of the skill level I have, and I should take advantage of this. So from there, I just took that moment and I jumped right in.
Took it and ran with it. And we're so glad that you did. Thank you, Robert. Now, what were your initial expectations for the Academy?
My initial expectations were far exceeded because I was not expecting something to be so well put together with all the courses, all the counselors I had, everyone that was providing me in the right direction to get where I was at. I was just thinking this was just going to be, a course where, I take it and it's just, I learn a few things about cybersecurity, but the whole experience overall with the SAN staff, with all the things I learned through the programs and the certifications, it was just a wonderful experience.
Wow. We're so glad to hear that. Um, and thank you for that. Any tips on how to prepare for the assessment?
Yes. So for the assessments, um, for the, could I make a clarification? Is that the pre-assessment or is that for the certifications?
Yes, the pre assessment. My apologies.
Yes, the pre-assessments, it's pretty much it's general computer knowledge. In preparation, I just studied from different references for taking certifications such as your A plus or security plus or just general security topics. I just studied a little bit of that, and that got me a little bit more prepared.
Amazing. Thank you, Robert. How important was mentorship to you?
Mentorship is very important. As far as me being successful as I've gotten, I wouldn't have been as great without the mentorship. Every day, every week, checking in, making sure that we have all that we need. If we have any trouble, if we're stuck, there was always someone in our corner pushing us to make sure that we have what we need and we're capable of doing what we're capable of doing. And as far as if we're having problems, because a few of the times we were taking some of these courses while we were actually enrolled in college, and it was not as easy trying to balance a full workload of classes and doing SANS, so the mentors, everyone understood the capacity of what we were doing. So they were very easygoing and helped us to transition, whether staying on track to where we need to be and in terms of getting where we want to be.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Robert. And finally, what are your next steps in your journey? And what advice would you pass on to the next HBCU cohort?
So my next step is to complete more courses with SANS, and I've just recently finished graduating with a cyber security degree. So that really helped to add to my resume and for me to go out in the cybersecurity world and find employment. And any advice that I would give anyone, just be confident. Like I said before, I promise you that with getting this assessment and getting into the SANS program, you're going to be so much more proficient in the cyberspace.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on attaining that degree. And I really appreciate you for answering my questions. Really
No problem.
appreciate that. So, last but certainly not least, I would like to introduce our next guest, Mr. Frederick Ely, who is a current student in our current HBCU Academy cohort, and a man who has also earned two certifications, both his GFAC and GSEC. Mr. Ely has earned a 100 out of 100 on his GFAC and a 99 out of 100 on his GSEC. He has also created study playlists and hosted study sessions for the cohort. Thank you for joining us this morning, Frederick.
Pleasure to be here, Monisha.
Thank you. Now, I am literally going to ask you the same questions that I asked Robert, but please feel free to answer them openly. So again, since this week's topic is about how to successfully prepare for the application, what advice would you give to those listening on how you prepared, and maybe advice that you be able to pass along that you learned along the way?
So this answer might cover two questions at the same time, but one of the avenues that I utilize, also given by SANS, is the Cyber Aces program. So there is kind of a self-paced free course offered by SANS that goes over Windows systems, Linux systems, and I think some programming maybe. So that took about a week to go through the material, but it helped me brush up on the skills that I didn't really know, and also introduced me to new concepts and topics. So when it came time for the assessment, I felt like Robert was saying, I felt a lot more confident in taking the assessment.
Awesome. Cyber Aces is definitely a great tool. Thank you, Frederick. Now, what made you decide to go into cyber, and how did you hear about the HBCU Academy?
So like Robert, I was going through a program for computer science and just kind of figured I'd be a software developer or anything other than cybersecurity. That wasn't even in my realm of thought at the time. And I took an elective that covered some of the cybersecurity topics. And it was kind of like a light switch went off. Like, wow, this is really what I really want to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it encompassed quite a few of the topics that I studied in computer science.
Amazing. And how did you hear about the HBCU Academy?
So in my quest to become more engaged and network with people in the industry, so I'm interacting on LinkedIn and trying to follow people on Twitter, being more involved on the social media platforms. SANS is quite active. So if you're looking and following people that are in cybersecurity and people that are in the space, even if you're just trying to learn what those spaces are, that the SANS programs show up if you're looking. So even if you're not looking, they'll show up. So I saw a lot of information coming through Delisha, who is the co-chair or co-head of the program.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I forgot about a date coming up, it came through my feed as a reminder. So definitely staying interactive on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Awesome. Special shout out to Delisha, who is the chair of our HBCU committee. And I really appreciate you for answering that question for me, Frederick. What were your initial expectations for the Academy?
So coming in, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. Not knowing what to expect. Expecting the best, but not knowing how it was going to come through. And again, saying exactly what Robert said. Once everything started and the information was presented to us, it is exactly what I would say I need, and people in the industry are asking for. So I started to see how things that are taught in the courses line up directly to what employers are asking for.
Awesome. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being nervous, right? Like, usually when you jump into something new, you just never know what to expect. And it's good to hear the honesty from you both, saying just like, hey, I was nervous. I really didn't know what to expect, but that your expectations were exceeded. So I really appreciate your openness in answering that question. So, Frederick, any tips on how to prepare for the actual pre-assessment?
Yeah, so with the pre-assessment, like I said, the cyber races, if you feel you want to brush up on technology skills, some people are more versed with Windows, some are more versed with Linux. But also to be fluid with your own work process, because you can use your sense of logic to make sense of questions you might not think you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in the assessment, take your time, knowing there's a time limit, but being confident in your skills of critical thinking.
Good information. And thank you for that. Now, how important was mentorship to you during this process?
It has been the utmost of the utmost importance. That is, before coming into the program, that was something that I was looking for, just mentorship in general.
Mm-hmm.
And now being in the program, being given the feedback, the resources, I've been here before, I've seen this before, kind of everybody all around and on all aspects coming together to fill the gaps that others might not be able to fill. So the mentorship has been of probably the second highest thing besides the actual material and information.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds like you would say it's essential, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Thank you for that. Finally, what are your next steps in your journey, and what advice would you pass along to the next HBCU cohort?
So I still have another course to complete. So I'm working through that. I will begin looking for career options in the next few months. I'm one of those that are doing a career transition, and for those coming into the next cohort, looking to come into the next cohort, I would say to if you're here and you're thinking about it, go for it. If there's other people that you think might be interested, tell them about it. If
Mm-hmm.
there's people that aren't even necessarily thinking about cybersecurity, one of the things that I've realized is that how I say transitioning careers, that there there's the cybersecurity term is an umbrella that covers so many aspects. So even if you're not necessarily technical, or you don't know about Windows, you don't know about Linux, there is space under the cybersecurity umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely take a closer look if you're here. So you are taking a closer look. Don't hesitate.
I love that advice. Both the advice that you have provided and same the advice that Robert has provided. This has been just such a great conversation. I definitely believe that we have time for a few questions. These can be questions for Beth, our co host, or questions directly for Robert and Frederick. I do know that some of the questions were already answered in the comment section, so I may be able to kind of repeat a few of those as well as the answers. But if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them if they have not already been asked. Looks like we have Rohan who is asking. I believe this is going to be a question to Beth. What if I'm not a US citizen and how do I apply?
Right, great question. So it is open to permanent legal residents with work authorization who currently reside in the US. So you don't necessarily have to be a US citizen specifically. We do have some other opportunities available. If you don't meet that specific eligibility requirement, we do have some other programs, and I can, reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm happy to send you some other resources.
Thank you, Beth. Saeed is asking, do you have any, I'm thinking this is saying co-op or COOP positions?
No co-op opportunities, but our career services team actually can also provide you with some information regarding employment opportunities or internships. Some have paid internships if that's an option. So yeah, our career services team will be able to provide that information.
Awesome. And Angela is asking to post the link for the education once again. You might have to clear that a little bit, Angela. Not sure what link was added in the chat, but we will make sure to get you what you need. Eric is asking, how does one obtain an entry-level cybersecurity job with the following? You're showing progression in your education. You show you have a good general knowledge structure of cybersecurity. You have not worked in cybersecurity field before, but would like to start. How does one get an entry-level job? And you need the job to get the experience. So it's kind of like a catch-22. But you get the job. To get the job, you have to have the experience. What is your suggestion? And this can go for you, Beth, Robert, or Frederick. How would you guys answer that question?
Yeah, we see that a lot where a lot of entry-level positions are requiring several years of experience and certifications, which it's a real challenge for those entry-level roles. Yeah, again, I defer to our career services team. They're amazing people, and they can definitely work with our students on building out your resume. They'll host mock interviews for anybody who may be a little uncomfortable interviewing and building some of those skills up. Yeah, Robert, Frederick, any thoughts?
Yes. As far as when you pretty much gather all the education that you get from with SANS and other areas that you apply, you pretty much can add that to your resume, all the activities, all the things that you worked on, whether it was a project of your own, list those skills that you have. Those can be pretty much helpful to an employer. If you don't have the necessary time in those, they will look at that as you're putting in the work to get to where you need to be. So I would say that don't just look at how many years experience you have, but look at what skills you've developed over the time in your education and your personal time.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, Robert, thank you. Don't be afraid to apply for those positions that are asking for multiple years of experience. You never know. So don't be afraid of those, and really boost those skills, things you've been doing, projects you've been working on, like Robert said, your certifications, training, all of that.
Totally agree with that. Thank you so much, both Beth and Robert. I appreciate that. And then it looks like Farzan is asking, do we have jobs? I think that one goes for you, Beth. And I would probably say you're going to refer them to our career services team as well. Is that correct?
Jobs at SANS or?
I'm assuming there may be either particularly talking about jobs at SANS, maybe even some apprenticeship or internship opportunities. Farzan, if you have any specific questions on specific jobs, you may definitely reach out to Beth at academies@sans.org, or you can email me directly at mobush@sans.org. It looks like we don't have any other start questions here. So again, I want to just drop my email and information. If you have any follow-up questions for me specifically or for our guest today, you can email me at mobush@sans.org. Again, that is mobush@sans.org. And I'm going to drop that in here. If I can have one of my colleagues drop it in the comments for me. And again, you can reach Beth at academies@sans.org. And either one of us will be able to point you in the right direction for pretty much whatever you need. So there you have it, folks. Over the past 45 minutes or so, we were able to have fun, provide some great info on the SANS HBCU Academy, on how to successfully prepare for the application, but more importantly, to know what to expect. I want to remind you that this HBCU Live is a part of a three-part weekly series. Please join us next week, where our topic will be themed towards how to accelerate and glide, going beyond the academics. Well, we will go into specifics on how to make the most of your academy experience, beyond just the book knowledge. I will be joined by one of our favorite SANS mentors, Mr. Donnie Green, as well as 3 more of our exceptional SANS HBCU alumni. So mark your calendars now. Same time, same place, next week. I have had a ball. I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Have an inspirational, motivational, or at the very least, great day. Bye, everyone.